Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can probably tell by the title, is about the time that I was 16 and pregnant. It's actually a really interesting story, at least to me, so I thought I would tell it, and then also for any girls that might be going through this or any girls that have gone through this. But yeah, anyway, so if you want to hear about the time that I was 16 and pregnant, then just keep on watching. Okay, so when I was 16, I was a junior in high school, and my boyfriend had just recently graduated high school, so he was already 18. And I was working at Target, and so was my best friend. So we were together all the time. Like, we were together at school, we were together at work. So our cycles, our menstrual cycles, were kind of like in sync. So I remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm getting really crampy, like my stomach hurts, like I'm about to get my period. And she's like, yeah, I know, me too. So I think a few days passed by and I'm like, hey, I still haven't gotten my damn period. And she's like, yeah, I know, me either. So we're both kind of like, that's weird, because I had always been like a day or two late, but nothing more than that. So I think we were both kind of like, in the back of our minds, you know, we're both kind of like, I wonder if we could be pregnant. We were, you know, obviously in that time of our relationships where there was a possibility that we could be pregnant. And so we kind of ended up being like, we should just take a test and we should do it together, since we both haven't gotten our cycles. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sounds like a good idea. So I tell my boyfriend, you know, I haven't gotten my period and it's been a while, it's been like a couple of weeks, so I think I should take a test. And he's like, okay. So he goes and buys the test, and he buys one for me and my friend. And so anyway, so I go to her apartment, I meet her there, and I'm like, here, wait in the car, because obviously her mom like was upstairs, like in her apartment, so I couldn't just bring my boyfriend into their apartment. So I go, and like we each pee in a cup, obviously separately, and then, you know, we dip it, we get in the restroom. It's like me, her, and her sister. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna dip this at the same time, and we're gonna like read the results at the same time. So we just left it, we didn't look at it, and then finally, you know, it's been 3 minutes, and so we were kind of like hesitant, and we finally like take a look, and I think like both in our like responses, like when we're looking at it, I think we both knew like, oh my god, like hers must say pregnant, because she's obviously has this reaction. And so like it was so crazy and it was so bizarre, because for you to find out that you're obviously really young and you're pregnant, and then to find out that your best friend is also really young and pregnant, it's like really crazy. So we like start to like nervously like laugh. So I'm laughing, she's laughing, her sister's laughing, which is like so dumb because it obviously wasn't funny. But I'm like, oh my god, I have to go tell my boyfriend. He's downstairs. So like I leave, and as I'm leaving, there's like tears coming down my cheeks, and I'm like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? And so I get in the car, and I don't even say anything, I just give him the test, and he's like silent, you know, he didn't really say anything. And so I wasn't even scared to like, you know, is he gonna freak out, is he gonna like try to leave or anything. I think for me, I was like, oh my god, like I'm worried about me, like I'm worried about what am I gonna do, what am I gonna tell my mom, like my family, you know. And he's just quiet, you know, obviously he can hear me crying, and he's like, you know, everything's gonna be okay, you know. And I'm like, how do you know everything's gonna be okay? Like, how do you know? Like, I'm 16, I'm young, what am I gonna tell my mom? Like, you know, like everything's not gonna be okay, you don't know. And he was like, don't worry about it, like I'll tell your mom, like, you know, we'll figure this out, you know. I think a part of me wanted to be angry at him, which obviously wasn't like his fault, you know. So I was just kind of like, whatever, you know. I get out, and so I pretty much cried myself to sleep that night. And so after that, obviously we talk, and he's like reassured me, like everything's gonna be okay, like it's all right, I'm gonna take care of you, I'm gonna take care of the baby, you're gonna be okay, we're gonna be all right. So obviously that's always nice to hear from the person that you're gonna go through this with. And so we kind of kept on the DL, but I mean, not for long. I mean, it must have been just barely like a couple of weeks that we knew before we told our parents. So first we told his parents because we were at his house. I think we were having like dinner or something, and his mom just ends up asking me like, are you pregnant? And it was like way out of the blue for me. I was like, huh? And she's like, yeah, are you pregnant? I had a dream that you were pregnant, and anytime that I have a pregnancy dream, they're never wrong. Like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, like at this point we weren't planning on telling him his pregnancy because we didn't know how to say, like, how do you say that I'm 16 and I'm pregnant. Like, I feel like our family, I mean, I don't know that they even knew that we were obviously at that point. So whatever. So then I really didn't know if I should like lie or just say like, yes I am, because I would be like, I'm dropping a bomb in front of everybody. So I didn't really say anything. I didn't want to deny or say it was true. So I was just like, oh, that's weird, that's a weird dream, like why are you saying that? And I kind of just tried to avoid it. And she was like, you know, you can tell me. This eyelash is bothering me, I swear, it's like half coming off. And sorry about the lighting here, by the way. It's actually nighttime, but I figured it didn't really matter because I'm just doing a story time. But anyway, so I didn't really say much, and after dinner I told my boyfriend, you know, maybe this is just the time for you to say it. Like, if the topic is already being brought up, maybe it's the time to say it. So sure enough, he tells his parents, like, can I talk to you in the room? They go talk, he comes out, and I'm like, oh my god, what they say? And the whole time I'm like so nervous and my heart's about to like fall out of my butt. So he's just like, you know, I think my mom knew, I think they knew already, you know. And I'm like, how would they know? Like, how? Like, that's so crazy that she has these dreams. Like, that's so weird. But later, come find out. Well, hold on, I'll tell you that in a minute. But basically his dad just told him, like, you know, you need to be responsible for her, you need to be responsible for the baby, you know, it's not a game, it's not something to take lightly, like, this is gonna change your life. And, you know, my boyfriend was like, yeah, I know, I understand. And at that time, like I said, I was working at Target, my boyfriend was working too, we both had jobs, you know, so we both, I mean, obviously it probably wasn't, well, actually it was enough to be independent because we did end up moving in together. But obviously we weren't at the point where, you know, it takes time to be ready to wrap your head around the idea that you're going to be a parent at a very, very young age. But anyway, so later, I'm talking about years later, I ended up finding out that the way that my mother-in-law knew that I was pregnant is because my boyfriend left the pregnancy test I gave him when I gave it to him. He left it in the car. So I guess his mom was inside the car for, I don't know why, and she saw it, and of course, you know, that's how she knew, which it took years. I honestly thought this whole time, like, she had some weird dream, and that's how she found out. She told me the years later that it was because he had left the pregnancy test there, and I should have known. But anyway, so yeah, that was that. I was telling, like, his parents, and then my mom was gonna be the hard part. You know, my mom is a very tough mom, and I was scared. I was scared out of my mind to let her know, because I was seriously thinking she was probably going to kick me out of the house. She wasn't going to talk to me, and for sure she was going to be disappointed in me, like, you know. So for me, the hard part was telling my mom. And yeah, so anyway, my boyfriend was like, don't worry about it, like, I'll tell her, like, you don't have to worry. And anyway, so my mom used to work constantly. She was a single mother, so she worked all the time, it felt like, and I worked too, and I went to school. So it was actually really, like, hard for us to find a time that we were both together, and not exhausted and like sleeping or something, or, you know, in our own stuff. So me and my boyfriend are like, oh, okay, let's get some food. And my mom was there, so I'm like, do you want anything to eat? And she's like, yeah, sure, give me a hamburger. So we're going, and I'm like, okay, this is the time, like, while we're eating, you should just let her know, like, what's going on. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So we're all eating at the table, and I'm like just waiting for him to bring it up, and he's just gone talking about all this other stuff, and I'm like, when the hell are you gonna tell her? So he's like, he looks at the time and he's like, oh, I have to go to school. He used to go to night school, and so I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I've been waiting this whole time, and I'm thinking you're gonna tell her, and you're not gonna tell her, and you're about to leave. Like, when are we gonna have this opportunity again? So I'm just like, oh my god. So he ends up leaving, and so I'm like, okay, bye. And he leaves, and so it's just me and my mom, and she starts watching some, you know, soap opera, some novela. And I'm just there watching it with her, and I'm just like thinking I should just tell her, like, I should just do it now, like, I need to get it over with. And so you know, it's a commercial, and she's like talking about something, and I told her, like, I gotta talk to you. She's like, what? You know, what's wrong? And I'm like, it's something really bad, and you're gonna get mad, and I'm scared to tell you. And she like turns off the TV, and she's like, what is it? And I'm like, I don't know, like, it's just really bad. And like, you know, my eyes start to water up. And she's like, did you kill somebody? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, then how bad can it be? So I don't know, like, I guess I was just, I don't know, obviously, you know, I don't know what to say. So I'm just like, I think I might be pregnant, you know, I just say that. And she's like, what do you mean you think? And I'm like, well, I haven't got my period, and I took a pregnancy test and it said it's positive. And she's like, okay. And she's like, call your boyfriend right now. Like, I'll tell him to come back and I'm gonna talk to him right now. So I'm like, fuck. So I call him and I'm like, hey, my mom wants to talk to you. And he's like, why? You know, I'm like, because. And he's like, did you tell her? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll be right there. And so that's the fastest he's ever gotten to my house. It was so fast. And so, like, he's there already, and I open the door and she's like, sit down, you know, like, we were terrified. And she's like, so Vanessa just told me that she thinks she's pregnant, and I want to know, like, what your intentions are with her. So now that she's pregnant, what are your plans, you know? And he's like, well, I plan to take care of her, and I plan to take care of the baby. And, you know, she's just kind of grilling him. She's like, so you're gonna move in together, like, or, you know, you have a stable job, do you think that you know, like, she was gone asking him questions. And he actually did pretty good. Kudos to him. He did pretty good. And he was like, yeah, you know, like, I'm sure that my parents will help us if need be, like, you know, she can come live with me. And so my mom was like, she's not gonna go live with you, like, she's still underage, and even though she's having a baby, she's still underage, and she's gonna live in this household, so you need to figure something out, you know? And it was like a very long conversation, but obviously these are the main things that I remember. And then she ends up saying, like, so, you know, do you feel like you would want to get married to her? And he's like, yeah, I mean, yes, you know. And she's like, well, she's underage, so if you two feel like you really want to get married, then I'll sign the papers and I'll let her get married to you. And I was like, oh shit, like, it went from me being 16 and pregnant to about to be 16 pregnant and married already. Like, it was so bizarre. And I was like I didn't really say anything. And she's like, you know what, like, just talk about it, like, you know, and I want you to know that, what did she say? She was like, I want you to know that you're not the first teenage girl that's gonna get pregnant at this age, and you're not gonna be the last, so it's not the end of the world. You can do this. You could do this by yourself if you wanted to. She was like, so you're gonna have my support. And she pretty much came through for me, and I was so surprised. It's one of the moments that I'll probably never forget in my life, because I really thought that it was gonna go way left. And what she ended up telling me that night, like, just made me, like, I was so thankful. And it was just something that I really needed to hear, because obviously I was a teenage girl that I was, like, super scared, because I'm about to be a mother in about, what, 8 months. And I don't know. So, you know, we end up talking, and I'm like, no, I don't want to get married. And it's not because I don't feel that I love you. I feel that because if we do it right now, it's because I'm pregnant, and I don't want it to be that kind of situation. I want to get married to you when it's right, and because we are truly in love, and we feel like we are soulmates, you know what I mean? And yeah, at 16, obviously I felt that already for him, but I was 16, you know what I mean? So that kind of went out the window, you know. I was like, that's not gonna happen. And yeah, that was pretty much it. My friend was super jealous because I told my mom way before she told hers. So and I wasn't dead. So everything ended up being okay. I ended up going to labor, and he was there with me, and we had our daughter. We lived up with my mom for about 6 months, and we ended up moving out. We got our own apartment. I was still technically 17 when I moved out, and we've been on our own ever since. So for any of those people that tell you that because you're young, and then you're probably going to fail at it, and then you're probably going to drop out of high school, and then you're probably not ever even going to marry that person that you're with, and that, you know, you're probably going to live in poverty and live on welfare for the rest of your life, because let me tell you that I got the looks, you know, I got the looks from the teachers, from my peers, you know, and it was like, you know, they make you feel different. And even though people didn't really say much about it, like, you felt it, you know. And then obviously you have, like, all this education about the statistics of, like, teen pregnancy and stuff. And of course, a lot of it is true. They have to come from somewhere. But let me tell you, from somebody that was 16 and pregnant, we did pretty well for ourselves, you know. I ended up having a second child at 20 years old. I ended up getting married to my boyfriend, It's not my husband, and we've been married for 4 years, and he's my best friend. I absolutely love him every single day, even more. And we grew responsible together. We have great children, and we have a house now. And you know, I graduated high school. Let me just tell you that it's possible, and so don't ever let anybody tell you that because of your age you'll be less of a mother or you'll be less successful, because that doesn't matter. If you want it, you go get it. And if you are 16, if you're 17 or 18 and you're a really young mother, as long as you love your child and do what you can to provide for him or her and be the best person you can be for them, honestly, that's all you need. Because at the end of the day, your kid's not going to worry if you have a degree or what brand of shoes you're buying them. They care about the love that you're providing for them and that you care for them, because that's all that really matters. So, but yeah, that is pretty much it. I know it's a little bit long, and I hope that I wasn't talking too fast, but yeah, that is my story about when I was 16 and pregnant. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.